One night, I was thinking about a dress I used to wear. And then I decided to draw it. Then another, then another. After I drew all of these dresses, I thought, these dresses tell a story. My mother always wore a black dress and brown shoes with a buckle on it. She had glasses. But every time I drew her, I always forgot her glasses. She had the most beautiful face. She used to make all of my sister and my clothes. But I always wished for a store-bought outfit. The spring after my mother died, my father took me to B. Altman's hardware store on my 13th birthday. We were both very sad. But when we walked in, he said, "This is my daughter Gingy, and she needs something to wear for her 13th birthday. And we need your help." And they all rushed over to help because he was so handsome. I had picked 2 dresses and I was in agony trying to decide. And he said, "Don't worry. You know why? Because I'm buying them both." One day, my grandmother came and got me and my sister and said we were going to live with her, Grandpa, and Aunt Abby. I never saw my father again. Clothes are useful beyond protection. They allow for a display of identity. According to DC Fashion Week from October 2024, fashion has been a display of identity for centuries. You could see cultural movements, economic conditions, and much more. So today, Love, Loss in What I Wore, a play by Nora Ephron and Delia Ephron. My grandparents lived in a brownstone building. My grandmother had believed in 2 cures: hot tea for anything wrong on the inside of the body, and Vaseline for anything on the outside. She said, "It's easy to fall in love with a rich man as a poor man." But that's just not true, like seriously not true. My best friend Dora lived across the street from me, and we used to stick our heads outside the windows and yell down to the guys walking past, "Hey mister, you're going bomb!" We thought we were hilarious. Every time Dora got to go somewhere special, her mom would always say, "Take Gingy with ya." She lent me this peach satin strapless gown when we went to the Cho boarding school for boys in Connecticut for the weekend. This is the coral wool jersey dress I bought for a date with Walter Fenton. I was madly in love with Walter Fenton. Every time we'd go out, Walter begged me to go away. Finally, at a fraternity party at Dartmouth Winter Carnival, he told me he couldn't see me anymore because necking was just too painful. He went off to have a beer and left me sitting on the floor. After a long time, he came back and I said I wanted to spend the night with him. "Are you sure?" he said. "I'm sure," I said. And that's when I found out that in sex, once you do something once, you have to keep doing it. And at the end of my freshman year, I thought I was pregnant. I had no idea what to do, so I went to my sociology professor at Simmons College for advice. It turned out I wasn't pregnant, but by then, Walter had vanished. Pink satin princess-style dress I bought in Feline's basement in Boston for my wedding to Harry M. Johnson. I was 20 and Harry was 37. Harry was my sociology professor at Simmons. One day I was coming out of our apartment and there he was, Walter Fenton. He had joined the Navy and he looked handsomer than ever in our uniform. Gingy, he asked, why'd you do it? And he kissed my cheek, then my hand, and then he walked away. And I'd love to be able to tell you that nothing good ever happened to Walter Fenton, that he ended up being a used car salesman. But the truth is, he won a Pulitzer Prize. The prick. Iridescent brocade Chinese-style dinner dress I bought in Cambridge for New Year's Eve party. Harry convinced me to buy the dress, even though it was expensive. The party was at the home of Harry's friends Penny and Eggy. Anyways, at midnight I got very upset because I couldn't find Harry anywhere. Then I saw him. He was kissing Penny. Harry, I said, and you know what he said? Of course you know what he said. He said, it's not what you think. But it was exactly what I thought. So that was that. I was 21 years old, and I was going to be the youngest divorced person in America. After I got divorced, I moved back to New York, and I lived with Dora, who was studying to be an actress. This is the yellow ochre sack dress Dora lent me when she fixed me up with Al Beckerman. He's very sweet, but don't you go off and marrying him. Are you listening to me, Gingy? Laurel pig cotton dress I purchased at a very snooty store in New Canaan, Connecticut for my marriage to Al Beckerman. He's very sweet, I said to Dora. And she said, I know, but are you sure? We both want a big family. How big, Gingy? Black and red print taffeta maternity dress. First worn when I was pregnant with Isabel, and then when I was pregnant with Lily, Michael, Joe, Julie, and David. I ordered this beige wool pantsuit from the Spiegel catalog. One day I walked into my office and there was a man sitting at my desk. He had a glue stick in his hand and he said, do you know how to open this fucking thing? It was as if Cupid had shot an arrow into my heart. Fuck, he said, and walked away. Later that day, I learned his name was Stanley. So there it was. I loved this print Diane von Versting wrap dress I was wearing the day I told Al I couldn't stay married to him anymore, because I had fallen in love with Stanley. It wasn't really Al's fault. He was really sweet. If I find myself in a department store, it's like wandering through a desert. And there's a department store when I was younger called The Forgotten Woman. Now I am that forgotten woman. And the store isn't even in business anymore. How ironic is that? After I finished making all the drawings and writing all the bits and pieces that went with them, which took over a year, I made some copies and I put them in big red binders and I gave them to my children and my two best friends. I was done. And I wanted them to know that I wasn't always their mother. I was a girl. I had best friends and we did stupid things together. But this is the story of my